Kratz, you and me had a good giggle right after the show yesterday. Do you remember what it was about?
Is it about me?
No. Rare moment. It wasn't about you.
Oh, thank God.
No.
Really? You don't remember? Okay, I'll give you a hint. It involved Pete Alonso's contract.
He passed his physical. That's right. Which is an Orioles thing. Like, look, people, like, it's not just we laughed about it, but it was Scott. You got to tell your jokes right when you think them. Just interrupt us. Tell your jokes because you've had the last 2 days where you're like, "Ooh, I almost said that. I almost said that." Yeah. Pete passed his physical. It's a big thing with the Orioles.
It is. Who was the last guy that they didn't? It was last year, wasn't it?
Jeff Hoffman.
Hoffman, yes.
Historically it's been pitchers. That's what Scotty and I were talking.
He almost won a World Series, but that makes sense.
Yeah, but he wasn't healthy enough.
I got you.
Right. He only pitched the entire season. Remember, I feel like they did it to Grant Balfour once. Does that ring a bell? Did they do it to him? I felt like they flunked him. I mean, they flunked so many pitchers, and I'm sure there are even more that we didn't know about, but there were many publicly that they agreed to. Player flies there, and they're like, nah, never mind. And now your value's shot because we just told everybody we feel like you're damaged goods.
Yeah.
I bet there's but the part that and we'll have to ask Hoffman later, maybe next time he comes on. I bet they go back to him and was like, we'll still give you, like we were going to give you $50 million. We'll give you 42, even though we know.
After everything.
After we know you're hurt.
Yeah.
I want to find that out from different people.
It might be their tactic. You never know.
Just saying.
I would not put it past them based on previous ownership group where they're like, but here's still some money. And the reason why I bring that up is I actually just got this story when I was at the winter meetings. Apparently there was one time where the team was run by the Angelos family. Before this, the Orioles signed a player. I'm not going to say that player's name. And they wanted to trade him before spring training. He did not do anything wrong. He didn't say anything. He didn't do anything. Owner calls and says, hey, some of my friends said that he doesn't think he's going to be good. This is a true story. Wanted to trade the player before he even got to spring training after they signed him.
I was drinking up in the Hamptons with some of my friends, and they said they should trade the guy that I just signed.
Wow.
I was on the HT.
You don't have a name, you said, or you do have a name?
I actually legit don't remember the name, and I don't know if I want to say the name because then I'm outing the person who told it to me. But to be continued. Let me see if I can get permission from that person to actually do that.
It's over. Nobody's gonna care after the fact. Don't even do. You either.
Well, sometimes people still want to get into the industry and they don't want to roast.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Just tell me. Just tell me, and I'll tell everybody.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk post-show and then maybe to be continued on Monday. But we do have breaking news. The Royals are dropping some dough. Maikel Garcia is signing a 5-year contract extension. Now, the details are coming in as we speak. There is a club option for a 6th year. That's according to our FT senior insider, Ken Rosenthal. We don't have the money yet. Garcia is 25 years old. He's a Gold Glove winner. He had one of the top wins above replacement numbers in baseball, which is one of the most valued numbers in the sport. We're tabulating what he does at the plate, what he does on the bases, what he does in the field. And Todd Father, he actually is one of the best third basemen in baseball that almost nobody knows about.
No, I was just going to say that nobody knows about it. 286 last night, 351 on base, 449 slug. I mean, 16 home runs, 74 RBIs with 23 bags. That's actually not that bad. Gold Glover, first-year All-Star guy. Oh, yeah. Then nobody knows about this guy. You know what I mean? He plays Kansas City. He gets after it. They didn't make the playoffs, which was unfortunate. I think that's what people worry about more than sometimes individual stats and how guys are doing. If I'm a Royals fan, didn't make it again, of course. You don't go back and be like, well, Maikel had a really good year. But Yeah, I like this. I like this pickup. I think he's an exceptional ball player. I think he goes about his business the right way. I think he's a leader. And I think they did this, Kratzy, because they think this guy is important to the team and he can bring that culture back too as well. So I like it. If you feel like somebody needs to be on this team and you want him there for a little longer, talk to the guy and make something happen.
Yeah, I'm just trying to look up my Todd Frazier stats. Another third baseman. Didn't get the Gold Glove. They never let you have the Gold Glove. But, he's in his age 25 season. You were 25 when you got called up.
Yeah, I think I was.
So it's fun to always look at that kind of stuff because we know where your career ended up. We know how many All-Star games you made, home run derbies, all that stuff.
Yep.
And you say, obviously we don't know what the numbers are that he's getting, but you look at what he did, and this is why I have a tough time believing that we'll get to another signing that the Royals made also, but believing that the Royals would really be in on Teoscar Hernandez. I know they went after Santander hard and made a really nice offer last year, but he ultimately had already agreed with the Blue Jays. So this is the type of player that the Royals need to build around, or the types of players that they need to fill their roster out with. KC is a monstrous field. It's a huge outfield. So their outfielders need to be athletic. Mm-hmm. They need to be able to get after it. And part of that is you need corner guys who can handle that position in the sense of you let a ball get down the line in KC, it's a little bit different. Guys are scoring on a ball down the line and left. Guys are scoring from first because it's bigger and you need a really good left fielder to be able to handle that. So you also need a really good third baseman. And I think they see the value in it. But, man, you delve into after this contract, after this extension came out, I started looking at some of his numbers. I mean, this is a dude that's on an upward trend.
Yeah.
Kansas City, you're afraid as a fan, you're like, was this like a one year thing? I tend to think it's not. I just think it's somebody that's kind of a jumping off point in his career. He's 25. He's going to play next year his age 26 season. And the fact that he made these jumps with his batting average, he made the jumps with his stolen bases went up. I mean, not up. His stolen bases have stayed pretty consistent. Sorry, they went down because in 24 he had 37 bags. But the biggest thing for me is his walk rate went through the roof with his strikeout rate going down. Is that some of Jonathan India, rubbing off on him, being on that roster a little bit? Is that the fact that he went from age 24 season to 25 when Todd was making a jump from AA Chattanooga to Louisville, Kentucky? Mm-hmm. That's the kind of stuff I like seeing this. And knowing the Royals, it's probably a really nice team-friendly deal. But for Maikel Garcia, it is a lot of cashish locked in through his possibly age 31 season, if that 6th year gets picked up.
His wins above replacement number this year from Fangraphs was 5.6. That was top 15 among position players in Major League Baseball. Top 15 overall number. Yeah, I mean, he runs base well. I got to look. He gets caught. His stolen base percentage is not great from what I remember. Kratz, maybe you have it in front of you quicker because I'm a little discombobulated.
Okay. Just this year. He was caught 9 times. 23 bags, but it was caught 9 times. Last year, it was 37 bags, only caught twice. The Royals do an incredible job. Rusty Kuntz has set this precedent back since I was there in 2014. And they've gone through some transitions. So, what happened there? Who knows? The dude was on base. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how much more he was on base. He was on base almost at a 100 extra clip. Like he had a 281 on base percentage this past year, it was 351. So he was on base more, got caught stealing more. So obviously they want to clean that up. But you're talking about a dude that was almost a 40 stolen base guy and got caught twice in 24. So yeah, he's got to increase his efficiency out there.
Yeah, but also he makes contact. He has elite exit velocity numbers. 2 years ago, I remember because there was a good article about how it was weird. He had great hard hit percentage, right? Which is how much you're making contact with the ball, 95 miles an hour off the bat or better. But then his barrel percentage wasn't good. And you guys can probably speak better to the difference there and how one is so far off from the other. But the point is, there were a lot of the stats that teams love these days that are indicators that there's more, right? The stats in terms of expected and indicated numbers a couple years ago were painting a picture of a player who should be even better. And then we saw a lot of that come to fruition this past season. So I think the Royals say, this is real. Let's drop some money on him. Let's eat up basically all of his prime years. And that's what you're going to get. I mean, in Major League Baseball these days, the prime years are on average 25 to 31 range. We're not talking about Kyle Schwarber here, but on average, that's when you see a lot of players at their best. They're going to eat up all of those years right now with Maikel Garcia, and they might have one of the top left sides of the infield in all of baseball. Todd Frazier, you got Bobby Witt Jr. and Maikel Garcia locked up for the long term. That's what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to get these guys on, quote, team-friendly deals so that you can keep them.
And they should be very happy. They should be very happy with this. Witt Jr. should be excited about this, and the Royals should be. I mean, if you're a fan right now, hey, listen, it's not the sexiest name, but this dude is really good, and he plays the game the right way. So another plus for the Royals. I know they had that big offseason last year, getting guys in and out, didn't work out. But again, this is a plus. It doesn't mean you pick somebody up, but you have a home stay here with one of these guys, and it's a really, really good infield. You got a Gold Glover, and you got one of the best players in baseball. That's pretty sweet.
And they also added Lane Thomas in the last 12 hours. Kratz about 1 year, $5 million. It is 1 year, not about 1 year, but it's about $5 million bucks. 1 year, I'm not going to get made fun of today, or I'm at least going to play some defense. 1 year and $5 million bucks for Lane Thomas to jump into the outfield. It seems like Kratz, they're going to spend in this kind of range to try and patch up what has become a huge hole for them, right? They need to shore up the outfield. Lane Thomas has had his moments. I feel like he was a hot commodity with the Nats, then moves over to Cleveland, had one of the biggest swings in their franchise history. But overall, I think it was a pretty bad year for him this past season. Again, though, a guy that teams like and a guy that teams can platoon.
What can he mimic that he was doing in Washington? If you're looking at a guy who was a big one of the guys who even in 23 when he has 28 homers, he had an OPS plus of 115. Like, I thought he was going to get traded that year. He was one of the biggest right-handed commodities because he was smashing left-handers, and he was getting a lot of burn out there, and you thought he would turn it around, or you thought he would get traded in the offseason. He didn't. He's had a decent start to the 24 season, but ever since he's gone to Cleveland, it has not been good. Dealt with injuries. He started out super slow. Like, it was a bad look early for Cleveland in 24, but then he had that huge homer, the grand slam in the playoffs. Last year, he just never got going. And so people are going to look at it, why are the Royals giving a guy who had a negative 0.6 WAR, which we just talked about with Maikel Garcia, why do they give him $5 million? This guy shouldn't even be a big leaguer. Lane Thomas brings something that a lot of teams really want, but they never go after. Quality at bats, and a guy who knows how to come off the bench and has a certain skill set, and if they use it correctly, you're able to get the most value out of that position. Maybe not necessarily Lane Thomas. Lane Thomas isn't going to give you, I don't think they're going into the season saying we need 162 games. We need you to hit 28 homers. I don't think that's what they're expecting, especially in Kauffman. I think they're looking for a guy that's going to, what you're going to get. They're facing lefties. He's going to play every day against a lefty, and he can play all three positions in the outfield, in a huge outfield, and he can still run.
And in fairness, he never got going because he didn't really have much of a chance to get going. He had about a quarter's worth of plate appearances. So I heard you ask me this, Kratz, when I was throwing on clothes and getting back into the studio. You asked a question right before the show started. I heard you. I just couldn't answer because my mic was muted. But you were like, what happened to Lane last year? Well, he had 2 cases of right foot plantar fasciitis and a right wrist bruise, and that's why he only had 125 ABs.
I will go to my grave saying that I don't wish on my worst enemy plantar fasciitis.
Oh, it's bad.
I had plantar fasciitis when I was in Kansas City. Fortunately, I ran down to first base and it blew out, so that's the best. It
best
releases.
Remedy, yeah.
Right. Or if you just sit there and you live with plantar fasciitis, I wouldn't even wish that on you, Todd.
Yours popped when you ran?
Yep.
And it felt better? Or?
In the moment, it hurt like crazy.
Yeah.
Day and a half later, completely gone. Never had it again.
Yeah,
I'm not a doctor, but
that's incredible.
And he had I think Lane had I thought he had an ankle issue too.
I had turf toe and plantar fasciitis.
You had it both?
Oh, well, I had to put a metal
little shiv in
yeah. Oh my God.
You had a shank in your.
It was miserable.
That's nobody needs foot or hand injuries.
No, Dusty Baker always says, take care of your feet and hands.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. So if that's better for Lane, then he's going to be in a better spot. And the last thing for the Royals is if they're going to trade away any of their pitching to try and get one more outfielder. It sounded like from Ken Rosenthal's notes column at some point, he's written so many of them, they were going to sign one, trade for another. I think they could end up just signing two. And I think Royals fans hope for that because I think you need that advantage of having as much pitching depth as possible. Look at how good Cole Reagans was 2 years ago, and then they just didn't get a lot of Cole Reagans this past season because of injuries. So I would hold on to all of those guys, but we'll see what happens. We'll do more Royals talking. We're going to get to Yankees conversation in terms of what they're doing or not doing so far with Pinstripe Territory host Derek Levandowski. Here he is. We're back at it. Derek Levandowski, star of Pinstripe Territory. You can check him out all offseason long, and then, of course, during the season after every single Yankees game. Well, Derek, I know you jump on as quickly as possible when the Yankees make a move. So how's life not having to scramble to the studio so far?
It's been kind of a low-key winter. I mean, I'd much rather have an active offseason, but there's sort of a little bit of fun in the tension, too. It's kind of that, will they, won't they, in a lot of different areas. And it's one of those off seasons where the path isn't real clear. When they wanted to get Juan Soto, right, that was all anybody was talking about. Will they go out and get Soto? He's the perfect fit. Last year it was a lot of, will they get, Cody Bellinger? The plan usually is a lot more clear than it is this offseason. But the fact that Trent Grisham has come back and accepted that qualifying offer, it complicates things, right? Because now if you sign Bellinger or if you sign Tucker, not only are you two left-handed, but you put a big boulder right in front of both Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones, one of their top prospects. I believe Brian Cashman when he says he's searching for pitching and a right-handed bat. A lot of times fans don't think that Cashman is very forthcoming, but if you listen to him and the tea leaves he drops, a lot of times he will tell you exactly what the Yankees are looking for. And I think he wants to get more right-handed, and I think he knows that the only way you win in baseball is by having good starting pitching. Yankees are a little bit hamstrung in terms of their pitching to open the season. I could see him trying to reinforce the rotation, maybe get a bullpen arm or two, and maybe a couple of unexciting right-handed bats that will actually make the Yankees a more complete roster than they are right now.
All right, I guess we're done then, D. You've already
see you later.
You already went through everything, and the Yankees haven't done anything. So what else can we talk about today? No, I want to talk about that. First, I want to talk about the right-handed options because I think that's the most boring discussion for the Yankees, unless it's not. Unless it's, did they just miss on the Pete Alonso? Had it happened later on, would that have been the fit? Last year's right-handed options that they acquired, Paul Goldschmidt, Jose Caballero. Is the right-handed market too thin for the Yankees to go and get anybody that's legitimately going to fit? And people will be like, what about Alex Bregman? Hal Steinbrenner doesn't go after a Bregman and a Tucker and a Bellinger. Cashman is at the position where he's at. He's missed one playoffs in his entire career as a GM because he doesn't necessarily listen to all the rigmarole around you Yankees fans. So where's that right-handed option if the tea leaf that he dropped is true? They need to get a little bit more right-handed.
Well, he's missed more than one playoff in his career, so I'll correct you there. Just a slight correction to the record there. But I think there's a couple of names that are kind of floating under the radar that people might want to think about. First of all, a Miguel Andujar reunion could be interesting. I mean, he mashed against lefties last year. You've got a left fielder right now in Dominguez who cannot hit left-handed pitching. Just can't do it. We'll see how it works out. He's playing winter ball. But, maybe a platoon situation there. I could see him bringing back Ahmed Rosario. I was thinking about Josh Jung from the Rangers. He could be a platoon option at third base with Ryan McMahon. Not a lot of like big name $20 million guys, but if you read the tea leaves, it kind of sounds like they want to follow the Blue Jays model, which is, not necessarily outspend everybody, but fill in the roster with, practical ball players to supplement your stars. And I could see them just bringing in kind of these role player guys, platoon type guys, maybe getting a few pieces that don't necessarily push the payroll too high, and then spending the big dollars on pitching where I know he will spend it. If you look at the major contracts he's given out in the last few years, it's Carlos Rodon, it's Max Fried, Garrett Cole twice. It's pitching that he wants to spend on. So I think that he will try and supplement with role player types in terms of the right-handed bats.
So right-handed bats, boring. I need bigger names. I need bigger
names. Tatis! Give me Tatis!
Tatis, there's your big name. Preller just came out and said he's untouchable, so that's not going to happen. And Miguel Andujar, you already ran him out of this city. He's not coming back. There's no way.
Well, he didn't seem happy about his lack of playing time towards the end of his Yankees tenure, but I always liked him as a player. I know he's a fan favorite. I call him Miggy Two Bags because he hits a lot of doubles. I just love those guys who just rake doubles, keeps action on the bases. He's always smiling. Like, I always felt like he was a good guy for the clubhouse. Now, obviously, I'm not in the clubhouse. I can't tell, but he seemed like a good chemistry guy. Fact is, Yankees need more damage against lefties, and he's somebody that hits lefties, and I think that for the right price and an opportunity to, get some at-bats on a winning team, he would consider coming back.
Blue Jays took care of business last year, as we know. You see the roster construction of what they're doing and what the Yankees are doing. How is the Yankees going to get to be those dogs again on top of the AL East? Because this Blue Jay team doesn't seem like they're stopping.
Blue Jays are good, Todd. There was a lot of Yankees fans that called in or watched my show right after the series, and they were ticked at the Yankees. And I was like, you know what? The Blue Jays, they just beat us, right? They just completely kicked our butt. And it wasn't one of those situations where the Yankees beat themselves like in the World Series last year. I still contend if the Yankees had played better, they had a chance to win that series. But I mean, the Jays just dominated, and it's clear they're not going away, like you said. Will they bring back Bo Bichette? Could the Yankees maybe swoop in and steal their best contact hitter? That's something I would love to see. I've been a big Bo Bichette fan. I know defensively he's not the greatest, but he would give you a leadoff hitter, a contact guy, another right-handed bat, another infielder. It'll be interesting to see if Volpe is actually able to come back from this injury at full strength. I know that he missed, he wasn't as strong last year as they had hoped, and they said after the season that the injury was worse than they had thought, which makes you wonder if like the surgery to repair it will hold him back more than was anticipated, right? So I think that, if you're not able to guarantee that Volpe is going to solidify that shortstop spot and do damage, you got to look at other options, and Bo Bichette's sitting out there for the taking.
I feel like that's going to be a hard one, though, at the end of the day, getting him to come there. They got Cabrera, they got Caballero. Again, not the sexiest of things that we want to hear, but they can play. My next question to you is, though, Dominguez, Spencer Jones, these are two really good prospects, and Dominguez has been up there for. Can you see a trade for either one of these guys? I mean, dare I say, Tarek Skubal with a couple other prospects to get him over to the Yankees?
I could see it. I mean, I never say never with Brian Cashman, because I remember one February day, Alex Rodriguez was having a press conference holding up the Yankees jersey with number 13 on it, and I never thought I would see that. And so since that day, I don't rule out anything. But, Skubal's one of these guys who can put you over the top in terms of a rotation. I mean, imagine the lefties you run out there when healthy: Max Fried, Tarik Skubal, Carlos Rodon, and then righties, Garrett Cole coming back. Hopefully he'll be at full strength by the end of the season. I'm anticipating that he'll be hitting mid-season form right around the time the Yankees are getting into the pennant race, And then Cam Schlittler, I mean, you guys saw what Cam Schlittler did in the postseason. The sky is the limit for this guy. I think that's 5 horses that win you the division, but I still think you do need a right-handed bat or 2 to go with it, and you need some bullpen help. But Skubal's definitely somebody who would get Yankees fans excited. The issue there is that you got to re-sign him. It's the same issue that you had with Juan Soto. You make a trade, you acquire an impact player, and then he becomes a free agent, and you lose the guys that you traded for him, right? I mean, Michael King, we lost him for a year, right? There was some other pitching depth pieces that we could definitely have used, and they're gone now, and we only had Soto for 1 year. So if you trade for Skubal, you're definitely putting yourself in a tough spot in terms of depth.
November 12th today. I'm sorry, December 12th.
Only off by a month there.
Only off by a month, but it's almost Christmas. Are the Yankees the 3rd best team in the American League East today, where we sit with where the rest of the East has made their moves?
I think so, and I think they were before the other moves were made. I mean, I'm counting on a healthy Red Sox team with Roman Anthony being better than the Yankees. I mean, they would have beaten the Yankees, I think, in that series if they had Roman Anthony. They've added Sonny Gray, who hates the Yankees and always seems to pitch well against the Yankees. So, the Blue Jays are going to be aggressive. We'll see if they bring back Bichette, but assuming they do, they're going to be strong again. I think Brian Cashman knows right now that this team has a chance to get to the playoffs, but they've got to really sort of steer the ship in a little bit better direction if they want to win the division next year. Right now, they're a wild card team, and you don't want to be in that position again. So there, like he said, there's still a lot of offseason left to make things happen, but we're going to like to see a little bit more aggression here coming forward.
Obviously, the Yankees will be the Yankees forever, but this is the Aaron Judge era. The Aaron Judge era has essentially 5 more seasons. Whether you think he's going to age out, whatever, that's not the discussion right now. Is this really a big make or break offseason for the sense that when you look at, like, Pete Alonso's contract is 5 years. When you start looking at, like, Dylan Cease, pitcher, position player, his is 7 years. This offseason, you're signing guys that are going to need to win with Aaron Judge. And the way you're talking right now, you want to make the playoffs. Like, you want to make the playoffs, and I don't think that's the essence of having a Monument Park player on your team that you want to make the playoffs. No, you want to dominate, and you want to create these next 5 years of dominance, and I think it shouldn't come down to a Cody Bellinger in this case.
No, I agree with you 100%. As Yankees fans, we want to win every year, and we think that if you don't win the World Series, it feels like a failure because we've been trained to think that. But it's clear that with Hal Steinbrenner and Brian Cashman in recent years, the plan seems to be get to the postseason, have a healthy pitching staff if you can, and try and win that way. Whether or not that's going to work, I don't know. I agree with you 100%. You got to maximize the Aaron Judge years. And whether it's 5 years, whether it's 6 years, whether it's 3 years of his prime, I still think he's got at least a few good years left in him even if he drops off 10, 15% a year, he's still elite for a few years. It's just how long is he going to stay healthy, right? I mean, there's always been questions about how that big body will age. I think in a couple of years, Giancarlo Stanton is off the payroll. Judge can shift over to DH and kind of become that, DH late into his 30s, hopefully, and continue to mash. But yeah, we want to see him riding down a float on the, Canyon of Heroes, holding up the trophy. We want to see that. We need that. And right now, it feels like the Yankees are trying to give themselves a chance at that rather than let's go out and make it happen.
Right. You don't look at them like you used to and say, oh, best roster on paper, easy. Right. They'll have to get upset. That's definitely not. It's just, hey, they're in the mix. They're in the mix every year. They're in the playoff mix. I got 2 for you. But first off, who's the shortstop for the Yankees next year. I know you mentioned Volpe, but he's had 2 years that I don't think are championship level, and now he's coming off shoulder surgery. Cue the excuses when he's struggling, and that's not necessarily his fault. But guys coming off shoulder surgery, usually it doesn't look good. Matt McLean, actually, there's an example. I don't know if they were different shoulder surgeries that just came to me just now, but he was a shell of himself this past season for the Reds. Right. I don't think he has the leash to go through another season where he's not good enough.
Yeah. So he was already getting replaced in games by Caballero late in the season. So I think right now, if the season started tomorrow, Caballero is your shortstop. Problem is, we're one pulled hamstring away from having no shortstop, right? If Caballero goes down, I mean, who's your backup? Oswaldo Cabrera's coming back from a broken ankle. Can he play shortstop? I don't know. And we got a cat in the background making a appearance. It's going to be really awkward if he takes a dump right there. But I feel like if when Volpe comes back, the job is his, and he's going to have about 6 weeks, right? And if he comes back in May, by mid-June, if he's hitting 180, 190, and the power isn't there, I think you got to look at making a deal or trade some kind of a big trade deadline acquisition. We have seen Corey Seager's name kind of in the rumors, and we know that Texas is kind of breaking it down. But again, that doesn't solve your left-handed, being too left-handed problem. So I don't buy that necessarily unless there was some kind of a deal in which they were also willing to give Josh Young, maybe take back a, Ryan McMahon, that type of thing. Like, one thing that Cashman will do is surprise you with some creative kind of blockbuster trades. They're not always good. Donaldson, taking him on to get Isaiah Kiner-Falefa was not really the smartest move. They were banking on IKF being a great shortstop. That didn't happen. But there was the Jesus Montero, the late Jesus Montero for Michael Pineda 1 year that came out of nowhere. So he will surprise you with some random trades. So don't be shocked if he goes out there and gets a shortstop.
One of the things that Cashman talked about at the winter meetings was the fact that they feel good about their bullpen with Bednar, the pickups that they made. They kind of made their bullpen moves during the trade deadline, and Camilo Duvall. Are they still short? Because they didn't bring back Devin Williams. They didn't bring back Luke Weaver yet. I think maybe there's a possibility of a reunion there, but where is that bullpen? Obviously, we know where it's at currently, but can they not dip into the deep market? Because now the top guys are gone. Suarez, Devin Williams, and Edwin Diaz. So are they going to dip into the next level of deep market in there, or do they have their two pieces and they're just going to fill in?
Well, I think that there's some interest in Trevor McGill from the Brewers, a hard-throwing righty. If you believe Ken Rosenthal and Will Salmon, which I do, the Yankees are also in on Freddie Peralta. This is another one of those areas where I could see kind of getting multiple birds with one stone kind of situation, trying to get Peralta and McGill, and then maybe some of those pieces you mentioned earlier going back in a trade. Look, Milwaukee's scouting is so good. I would expect any deal that we make with them for them to rake the Yankees over the coals in terms of prospects. But the Yankees also have some really good young arms that are, starting pitchers in the minor leagues, but that are power arms, Elmer Cruz, Ben Hess, Bryce Cunningham. We have seen them use starting pitchers as relievers in the major leagues before. And they say there's, no such thing as a relief pitching prospect. A lot of times it's failed starting pitchers, and these guys aren't necessarily failed, but they're guys who could solve a problem cheaply with 98 mile an hour fastballs and maybe one good off-speed pitch. So I think there's a chance the Yankees might try and build internally with their bullpen. They might look at guys who are cast-offs. I don't see them going out and spending big on a relief pitcher, but I could see them, if they make a deal, getting McGill.
All right. If McGill is the guy, and you're talking about a team coming from a team that produces closers, that's just what they do, from a Hader to Devin Williams to McGill, they get value for him. It's also a team that wants to win. I know he's your guy, but do you give up Ben Rice for McGill straight up?
No, I don't think I would make that deal. I think Ben Rice is your starting first baseman next year. The metrics are really good on him. If he learns how to hit lefties a little bit better, I mean, this is an all-star. The Yankees kind of view him as a Kyle Schwarber type of hitter, like a guy who could eventually hit 40-plus home runs a year. And I agree with him. And as a lefty in Yankee Stadium, he's just too dangerous. I think I would rather see them go with some kind of other creative move and fill out the bullpen rather than having to deal Ben Rice. I just don't think that that's a move. And when you're talking about McGill, this is a guy who has had a flexor strain, which a lot of times can indicate, stress on the elbow, which maybe is a precursor to Tommy John. Just anecdotally, I'd be worried about trading a reliable up and coming power lefty bat for a guy who, throws 102, but could get hurt at any point.
All right, I set you up for that one because I knew you would say Ben Rice, no, just like you would have said Jason Dominguez a few years ago, no, you can never touch my Jason.
Yeah.
Spencer Jones then. All of a sudden, he's the one guy you hear he's untouchable. He's running out of time in the minor leagues. Is it Spencer Jones straight up? Because that's a big league player. It's a big league hitter. The adjustments he's made that the Milwaukee Brewers will say, here you go. Good luck. Here's 600 big league at-bats.
Yeah.
Well, I had Josh Norris from Baseball America on my show about a week ago, and he was not very high on Spencer Jones and rated him at the bottom of the 2080 scale in terms of his hit tool. He rated him a 20. And so, if you believe that, yeah, I would move Spencer Jones. I mean, you're looking at like high 30s strikeout rate in the minor leagues. You guys know as well as I do that strikeout rate doesn't typically go down when you go from the minors to the majors. I know he's got power. I know he's been compared to a left-handed Aaron Judge. I've always said that that's unfair, but I would have no problem moving Spencer Jones if it meant improving the big league club.
Derek, last one, and I know you touched on this on an episode a couple weeks ago, but just for our audience to give them a taste of not only what you said, but then also what you've heard from the Yankees community. What were the thoughts on Hal Steinbrenner saying that the team was not that profitable? I'm sure that was a tough one to swallow. It's one thing to talk each offseason about, where you're at with budgeting. I think everybody understands that. For me as a media member, I was personally offended when he's trying to go over like what revenue versus profit is. Like most of us get it, including the person that asked the question. That's not what they were asking.
Right. So there was a few things about me that bothered me. He complained about the $100 tax bill or $100 million tax bill of the city, which is kind of a sweetheart deal. You know what I mean? Like that's the cost of doing business on the most expensive real estate in America, right? I mean,
and I heard it's not 100, by the way, Derek. I heard it's more like 80. Again, I know it's a big bill, but I heard it's like 80. And actually, if you listen to David Sampson's show, who's really good on this stuff and used to be in an ownership group at the Marlins, he essentially said it was just the way of them not showing the public that they were paying for things, right? Like, because the Yanks were like, oh, we're self-funded. Like, it wasn't self-funded, and Hal just said it himself.
Yeah. I watch David Sampson a lot, by the way, and I love his stuff. And he has been saying for a while that the Yankees are not that profitable. So, I mean, maybe he's right and maybe Hal is right. But if you're not profitable as the ownership of the New York Yankees, you need to get the heck out of the baseball business and sell it to somebody who will. I said basically, if you inherit a Ferrari, right, and you're just going to drive it 40 miles an hour back and forth to the grocery store, you probably got no business owning that Ferrari. Sell it to somebody who's going to get out there and take it on the track and use it the way a Ferrari is meant to be driven. If Hal is not making a profit and not able to compete with other teams like the Dodgers and like the Mets across town financially anymore, he should take that as a sign to, hey, let's pass it on, right? I mean, I know it's his father's legacy, but his father, I think, was under $100,000 in personal funds invested into the Yankees when he bought it. And you could easily sell that franchise for $10 billion right now. I mean, put everybody in the family on Easy Street for generations, right? And let a group like the Guggenheims, let a big Wall Street firm take over. Just make sure that there's somebody who wants to win in charge. And I'm good with it. As I said on my show a couple weeks ago, we don't care who pays the bills. We care who raises the trophy.
Perfectly stated. And I actually think, if you and me took over tomorrow, we could fix that if there's really a profitability issue.
I
don't
can't
believe
afford the
that
$80 million
is.
tax bill.
I think you can if you see the revenue coming in on the other side. There's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes. Most owners have, they pay themselves, they pay others around them. There are a lot of things that you could clean up pretty quickly. I'll give you one quick example. John Angelos, who used to be running the Orioles after his late father Peter passed away, and then they sold it. He was paying himself $5 million to run Mass in the TV network. He knows nothing about that. He doesn't do much with the network. That alone, right, should just tell you how some of the money gets hidden and how you're able to take it out of certain ventures that you have. Just to give like one taste of how things work behind the scenes. We're never going to see the books. It bothered me when I heard that.
I think there's probably a director of financial loopholes somewhere within the Yankees organization whose only job it is to find those financial loopholes.
As there should be. Derek, great catching up, man. Have a great holiday. Everyone check out plenty of content coming from Pinstripe Territory. Derek, follow all the socials too. And Derek will be popping on live whenever it is for breaking news when the Yankees do things. Thanks, D. Good to see you, man.
Happy holidays, guys.
You too. There it is, Pinstripe Territory. Oh, look, I love that. The promo we have also features our guy Frankie, who you can see on with Derek sometimes and who works with us behind the scenes. One of the best in the biz. We love you, Frankie. We're going to talk Giants coming up in a moment. But first, actually, we're going to show you a little members-only content because we put a lot more out there with just little cool behind-the-scenes stuff. So here's a look.
What's up, guys? To all my VIP members, it's Todd Frazier here. I want to show you a little bit of my casa, my house. You see we got the logo, and we got another SS. That's for the Southsiders, my son's travel baseball team. Anywhere from my first cleat from Ichiro to CC Sabathia, from Hall of Famers.
Hey, we're hitting the Giants off-season to-do list with our friend and star of Splash Hit Territory, FP Santangelo, joining us right now. FP, always great to see you, man. The way we do this is you lay out your three. Hey, this is what the Giants need to do the rest of the way here in the wintertime, and then we'll come back at you with follow-ups.
Well, I mean, my three right now are like, how does Tony Vitello fit in is number one. Number two, they need to add to starting pitching. I'm looking at them right here on the side. And then, there's some players that on the current roster that could do a little bit better. Buster always says there's more meat on the bone with some of the players they have.
All right, well, let's go right to Tony fitting in. Tony Vitello fitting in. Like, you got to be careful. You're an ex-big leaguer. You can't, we got to be nice to the guys who have never played in pro ball, have never been in a big league bench to even say I was on the bench in the big league. So you got to be careful. So how's he got to fit in?
I think he's smart, and I think you got to be transparent. You guys know more than anything in today's game, it's about what the manager can do for the players, right? How can I increase your value in the industry? What can I do for you? And so just have that open door policy. He's saying things right now like, I'm overwhelmed. And, he seems overwhelmed. So it's understandable, right? All of a sudden, you're a big league manager from the University of Tennessee. But I think he's a quick learner. And there's probably going to be some hiccups, you guys. Like if you've never been in a big league clubhouse and you haven't talked to grown men, now there's 26 general managers on every team that know everything about everything. And back when we played, I feel like it was what we could do for our manager. And when you're at the University of Tennessee, whatever he says is gospel, right? These are 18 and 19-year-old kids, and they're just like worshiping the ground he walks on. But like in the big leagues, we sit back and we're on the plane, we're having a pop, and can you believe what happened today? I mean, we should do that stuff. So I think there's going to be some initial hiccups, but man, what a dynamic personality. I've gotten to spend some time with him, and I'm really rooting for him.
Can a manager in this day and age really get in the way of a postseason berth? Because I don't think we're looking at the NL West, but what you said, it's your first thing on your list, Tony Vitello fit in. Can he get in the way of a postseason berth? Because you have Logan Webb, you have Robbie Ray, you have Rafael Devers in the lineup, you have Matt Chapman's platinum glove at third. Like, can he really get in the way?
I mean, if you're saying like game time decisions, I don't think so. I think the only time a manager ever gets in the way, and you've probably experienced this, is when he loses the clubhouse, right? And all of a sudden, you got guys over in one corner talking, you got guys over in another corner talking, and then all of a sudden, things start to go south in a hurry, and it gets ugly. So I think he's going to learn on the fly, and he's got Dusty Baker around him, he's got Bruce Bochy around him, he's got Ron Washington on the staff now. So he's been insulated with some baseball royalty. So if he has any questions, I mean, his president of baseball operations is a future Hall of Famer too. So he's surrounded by good people, and I think he's humble enough to ask questions and to learn.
All right, and as we know, number 2 here, we're talking about pitching always. Everybody needs to add a starter, especially this team. Talk about maybe what they're thinking about. Do they have anything in the works? Have you heard anything about getting that starting pitcher that they need?
Yeah, you guys, I'm pretty disconnected in the off season, just doing the podcast with Susan. So it's not like I'm in the clubhouse and I'm getting some dirt right now. I know Giants fans in general, if you read the comments on our episodes, they're starting to panic a little bit. And I think a great addition, and one of Willy Adames' best friends is Freddie Peralta. And I don't know who you trade for him. I don't know if you sacrifice Bryce Eldridge, one of the top prospects in all of baseball, for Freddie Peralta, who would be a rent-a-player because, he has a year left on his contract. You probably have to sign him to a long-term deal. But when you have Logan Webb and Robbie Ray, man, it would be nice to throw a guy like that in. But then you have to ask yourself, like, if we do go out and sign a lot of guys, are we just throwing a pebble into the ocean when you compare yourself to the Dodgers and what they're doing right now? And so, yeah, do I want to spend money? Because I don't know if we can compete with the Dodgers, but we could be a playoff team. And then once you get in, so that's a trick. They're in a tricky situation right now. I think all of baseball is in a tricky situation when you talk about what the Dodgers are doing.
Spoken like a true Giant. Oh, the Dodgers. All the Dodgers. The Dodgers care about the Padres. They don't care about the Giants. My question is, like Todd, when he goes to Texas Roadhouse and he's looking at the steaks through the glass and says, I want that one. Which bone has the most meat on it? Which player has the most meat left on the bone that Buster Posey's kind of like, hey, I'm looking at this guy to really step up? Is it Patrick Bailey because of the kind of down year that he had?
It could be Patrick Bailey. When you talk about Patrick, like it should be a platinum glove catcher. I mean, what he does behind the plate is magical. The way he handles the staff. I know you're going to have the automated strike zone this year, and that could a few things. But it's a guy that struck out 333 times the last 3 years. So for me, Patrick Bailey doesn't have to hit 270, 280, but just like be a tough out, put the ball in play a little bit more, grind some at-bats out. There's a question whether he should be a switch hitter, and that's for them to decide. Jung-Hoo Lee is another guy, by the way. Jung-Hoo, I think he had 13 stolen base attempts last year and stole 10. And to me, he's kind of a prototypical leadoff hitter that where if he plays the game a little more aggressively, whether it's taking charge in the outfield on balls in the gaps, whether it's stealing bases and being more aggressive on the bases, he doesn't bunt at all. And apparently he's a really good bunter, and Ichiro's his hero. So when you talk about how Ichiro used to kind of lay the bunt down and then in one of the best bunters I've ever seen. So there's more to his game. But he just played his first full season as a major leaguer, and he's facing guys for the first time, playing in ballparks he wasn't familiar with. He only played 30-something games his first year as a Giant. So I think there's a lot of meat on the bone because when he's good, they win. It's like you go, we go kind of a thing. So that's one guy. And then Elliot Ramos, when you talk about, what he did last year and his defensive problems in left field. He had confidence issues. He was bobbling ground balls. He was he threw a ball into left center field last year from left field because he held on to it and just threw it to left center field. He's a great offensive player. He's a great kid. He works hard, but he needs to get better for the Giants to be better.
I'm very interested. You said Dusty Baker and Ron Washington, two of my all-time favorite guys. What do you expect from both of them? I know Ron might have a little more going on because he's going to be closer, but at the same time, is Dusty going to be there all the time? Like, talk to me. Do you know the ins and outs of both of those guys and what their job entitles?
No, Todd, I'm with you, man. Those are two of my favorite ever. I played for Dusty, and we're still really good friends. Say things like, I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know what my role is. But I think this year it's going to be a little more defined with a rookie manager. You have two Hall of Fame managers in Bruce Bochy and Dusty Baker. right at your disposal. And Wash, I mean, Todd, I don't know how he influenced your career, but in Oakland, my last year playing second base, he taught me things at 35 years old that I was like, where have you been all my life? Just like opening up on a ball to your right and backhanded it instead of like trying to work around it and throwing on the run, going into left field away from the play. Just little things around the bag on turn of double plays. And I mean, he's just a joy to be around, man. He keeps it real. He's always positive. He's probably the hardest working coach I've ever been around, man. He'd get you out there at noon and doing all your ground ball drills. And he managed in the big leagues. So, I mean, they're assembling what seems to be kind of an all-star staff. And it makes sense with who your new manager is. Having those three guys around, Dusty's my all-time favorite. Wash is my all-time favorite coach. I think, Todd, and you might disagree with me, I think Wash is better as a coach than a manager. Not that he's a bad manager, but he was born to get out there and work and to coach and to teach.
All right. So you said about the starting pitching. Tatsuya Amai. When we talk about Japanese pitchers or Japanese players, you pretty much go down the West Coast. You're like, all right, no, Seattle. Holy crap, it could be the Dodgers. Padres, no, they're kind of landlocked with their money a little bit. So the Giants fall in there. Are the Giants willing to go? Is Buster Posey willing to say, yes, I would commit that much to a starting pitcher that's not 100% a known commodity? I get it. He has Yamamoto comps, but is Buster Posey going to be able to, or be okay sticking his foot in that water, just like he kind of did with Willie Adames?
Yeah, I think Buster Posey's fine with it because it's not his money. You have to go to Greg Johnson. You got to go to Greg Johnson, the owner, and see if he's fine with it. I'm sure Buster wants to go out and get him. I think you got to be careful that everybody's not Yamamoto. And I've watched this guy pitch on on highlights on YouTube, and his split's dirty, and his fastball's kind of a short arm upshoot fastball that gets on you. I mean, look at the numbers; they're incredible. The thing I like about him, you guys, is he said he didn't want to be a Dodger, and he wants to beat the Dodgers. And I don't know if that was a bargaining ploy, but if he's got that kind of swagger with the mullet, and he wants to be on a team that takes down the Dodgers, I mean, what better team than to sign with the Giants? But they've said they're not going to sign pitchers to big contracts. And that could be a bargaining ploy too. We all don't know what's going on right now. And you guys are players. I always wonder what the players are thinking right now. Like what's going on? Are they all texting each other in the group chat going, are we getting anybody? Are we just staying? What are we doing? I always go to that mode, like in the off season. What are those guys thinking right now when they're seeing all the moves going on around baseball?
What's your opinion, but also the organization's opinion of the 28 at-bats that we saw from Bryce Eldridge last year? Is this a power hitter that, crap, nobody hits for power in San Francisco? But Willie hit 30 homers, and Rafi's probably going to hit 30 home runs for the Giants this year. So is it something that they were fearful, or they didn't know how the 28 at-bats was going to go, and it just it didn't go well right out of the gate?
I think it's not the numbers or the results per se. It was how he handled those at bats, and I think Buster will tell you he's gone on record saying I like that he wasn't scared. And he's 20 years old, man, and your first go around the big leagues, and he was dinged up. There is one giant power hitter that the park couldn't hold. I think we all know his name. And guys like Schwarber come in there and they hit balls in the cove. And if you have pop, you have pop. It's not so much that the ball doesn't carry there. It's baseball, we're used to playing in like 90 degrees and humidity, and when the ball's flying, it's cold a lot of nights there, and it's tough. It's tough to hit in the cold. So it's more about that. But I think he's got line-to-line pop. You watch his videos from AAA. He's going out to left center field, and the ball does carry that way at Oracle Park. And so, yeah, I wouldn't judge anything off that. I think it was just a kind of a recruiting trip. Hey, this is what it's like. This is what the clubhouse is like. This is what the planes are like. This is what the charter's like. These are what the hotels are like. He does have like size 16, 17 feet. And I don't know how he improves his footwork around the bag. He's kind of heavy-footed. But a great kid, man. You talk to him, you fall in love with him in 2 seconds, and you're rooting for him. I don't know if the Giants trade him. We did a whole podcast on that. Do you trade Bryce Eldridge? Not for me to. I think he's a 40 home run guy, even in that ballpark.
Wait, what did Buster say? That he wasn't scared of the moment? Is that what you said about when
He
Buster
just
was
liked the
talking
way
about
he handled the at-bats and how calm he was. And, you know, he went deep into counts and fouled pitches off, and maybe it always didn't end up in a hit, but he liked how he went about it. And it's hard to judge a guy in 28 at-bats. And, he had the wrist thing going on, and he wasn't healthy. So, I'm with you, man. I would love to see more of him because I don't know either.
Well, that's kind of what I was getting on then. I just wanted to make sure I got the quote right, because don't you feel like the Giants played him a little scared? Like he's up there one of the first nights. Oh, a lefty's going. We're not gonna throw him out there. Like if this guy is the guy, and you want him to just ride on big league planes, I guess that's one thing. But like if you're that guy, if you're a 40 home run guy, you're protecting him. Is that the way to go? Is that the way you're like, hey, we're not going to put you in against lefties, right out the gate. We're gonna kind of move you into the big league experience. Am I off on that?
No, I think there were some health issues that we didn't know about at the time. So that might have played into it. But I'm with you, man. I was around Bryce Harper when he was 19, and they threw him right in the fire. I was around Juan Soto when he was 19, and they threw him right in the fire. And there was no platoons, there was no matchups. It was like, throw him off the end of the dock, and hopefully they figure it out. And I think, there could be another year of seasoning for Bryce Eldridge at the AAA level. I don't know. I guess we'll see how the wrist fares in spring training, and how he fits in with Devers at first. And do you want to DH a 20-year-old, 21-year-old now, I guess? And that's something that the organization has to decide. But I'm with you, Mandy. Hey, you get your day in the sun, let's go, giddy up. But also, like, I didn't know there was health issues at the time, and I was kind of seeing the same things you guys were seeing.
FP, you're the man. You get a lot more of this on Splash Hit Territory, which is off to a banger beginning. I know we texted about it, but for real, there was a need in the marketplace, and this thing, just wait till the season starts, will take off. But already, I mean, we're just seeing a ton of great feedback, as you can see probably in the comments, FP. It's really cool. So keep doing your thing, man. This is just the start.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me on. Happy holidays, everybody.
You too, FP. Happy holidays, man. This is the show, Splash Hit Territory. You got to check it out. It's FP, contributor Susan Slesser on there. Plenty of big name guests, like Logan Webb was one of the first few guests. So a new episode coming out later today. Keep an eye out for that one. Hot corner, let's sizzle. Let's get to news. So we'll start with Christopher Morel signing up with the Miami Marlins. 1-year contract. This according to Ken Rosenthal. Expected to mostly play first base. And Ken said the hope is that the Marlins hitting coach, Pedro Guerrero, will unlock Morel, and also gave credit to Mike Deportes for the first on reporting that story. Okay. I mean, I'm expecting more from the Marlins, but sure, you want to fill it up with some lottery tickets too and some depth and see if Christopher Morel can finally corral the skill set. Go for it. Todd Frazier, I feel like we talked about him somewhat recently when he was cut loose, and you look at Tampa Bay really losing a trade here. Isaac Paredes is an all-star bat, and I know there were other parts to that trade, but Christopher Morel has been a big bust in the big leagues so far for a guy that some front offices love. This is the tale of a guy who does have those sexy StatCast stats and some of the metrics that front offices fall in love with. And I equate it to the Willie Mopeñas back in the day. It's BP power, but it hasn't converted, and he's not a good defender. So he needs to hit for serious pop and try to get on base a little bit to be a big league player. We'll see if the Marlins can find that. If it doesn't work for him this year, he could be out of the game.
CC Pedro Guerrero, for sure. You're going to have to step it up a little bit. No, listen, you just at what point do you look as a baseball player, as a hitter, you look at yourself, man, this just isn't working. So I think Pedro Guerrero knows what he's doing. I think he's got a test in front of him. Maybe revamp the swing, Kratzy. Maybe no more leg kick. Maybe see a couple pitches here and there. Don't be afraid to look at a pitch and, maybe it's a ball. But he had a lot of strikeouts. Understandably, he was strikeout or, pop out kind of guy. But I think he should revamp his whole swing and maybe change something, go to a 2-strike approach or fix something. Make sure your head, because my biggest thing, the higher he got with the leg kick, your eyes move and your head moves. And I think the more your eyes move, the more you're going to swing and miss or foul balls off that you're like, oh man, how did I miss that? And there was a lot of that. So for him, maybe it's time to revamp your whole swing and hopefully, resurrect your career moving forward.
I'm always about giving guys like another opportunity.
Yes.
Like, I obviously bounced around a long time, played at a completely mediocre level, but you're always trying to change things. You're always trying to fix little things. To me, when you sign a guy like this, yeah, they're hoping he could hit 20-plus pumps. But when I hear he's going to play first base, I had to look on Baseball Reference.
Go ahead.
They have him listed as an outfielder, DH, third baseman. And so I looked down at the defense part, and it says 0 games played at first base. Don't hamstring your team at a position that is trivialized by a lot of the industry of teams that don't win, of teams that look at the first base position as, whatever. We got a third baseman. We're going to pick up Todd Frazier, and he's going to play first. It's nothing against Christopher Morel. Not saying he's not athletic enough to learn it. It is a big-time position. It's a big-time position on a young team that you don't have a lot of veteran infielders that need that help over at first base. And then you just say, we got Christopher Morel because Borbino's not available.
We hope
because Josh Bell isn't going to sign with us. Like you enter those names of the guys who have played first base, and it's a harder position than just – you know what? He's had 20-plus homers in seasons. I know he strikes out. Pedro Guerrero will fix him. Go play first base for us. Like, that's tough, and I don't want to see the momentum that the Marlins made this season based on their pitching staff, based on their defense, take a backslide because they're like, well, we'd like to have some offense for on the cheap. We'll just throw them at first.
It's interesting. It's very interesting.
What's next? What's next for the Marlins? They're apparently Pirates light this offseason. I don't think they're going to play ball for a player that's worth, $100 million in guaranteed money, but it sounds like they are going to get involved. And Kratz, we can make fun of them all we want. I do actually think they'll spend a little money because it's the same story as the A's last year. You have to, so that the league just doesn't get pummeled with more grievances that they have to uncork when they get to the labor agreement a year from now. So in all seriousness, I do think they'll spend a little bit of money, not a lot, but a little bit of money. And I do still think they might trade one of their young starters, turn that into a position player, and then sign a starter to backfill it in the rotation.
I mean, they think they have the answers in the pitching staff because they have good pitchers, but they also think, if they call all the pitches from the bench, I saw the change in the last 4 weeks when they were calling the pitches from the bench. So we don't really need the best pitcher. So I would agree with you. I think they trade from that excess in their mind, like, we can call someone up that's also going to give us value in there. I think as a Marlins, when you have a starting rotation like you do, you can't be afraid of keeping all of them and dipping into the 2-year. To me, for the Marlins, if they dip into the 2-year market for a hitter that could be impactful, I think that's when they start making changes. They're in a tough NL East. But the reason that they did as well as they did was because of that starting pitching. I'm afraid that some of the recent firings in the last few years in the Marlins system that was involved with the development of all these young pitchers might come back to bite them. But, that's time will tell. Time will tell, and I think it's time for the Marlins to strike or tell Sandy Alcantara, hey, you know what? Thanks for everything. And there's going to be a lot of value, but that might not happen until, like, Freddie Peralta's either taken off the market or he's traded. I think that's the kind of thing where I would bet on the upside of Sandy Alcantara if I'm a team because of his controllability and his history of being a durable dude who wants the ball for 9 innings, 32 times a year.
Agreed. I was going to say Alcantara. It's time to move on. In my opinion, him trade for sure, but I think that would be their next move. I don't know. I just don't see them. I don't see them spending. I honestly don't see them spending any more money, if you want the truth.
And
Here
for
and there.
Alcantara, and Yuri Perez were the guys before. Now I think Edward Cabrera, Edward Cabrera
I like him.
is kind of emerged as the guy that guys didn't really know about because they had Yuri, and then you have Meyer that's coming up too, or not coming up, but solidifying himself. I just think there is an opportunity for the Marlins to continue that upward trend, and whatever moves they make, I hope that's what they're doing and not saying, hey, we overachieved last year. We're just going to stay status quo. I think it's time to slowly continue to move.
Man, Meyer hasn't worked out at all for the most part for them. And from what I've read, Yuri Perez is the only untouchable. Like Edward Cabrera could be dealt. Alcantara, I think they want to deal. I think the holdback there is the value. The Marlins want to value him as a number one. He showed flashes of that, but not the full season. It was the first full season coming off the surgery. I don't know. I think they might play hardball and hold on to Alcantara because I think they might match the value they're looking for with Edward Cabrera. There's more years of control. It's easier to price him in the marketplace than it is for Alcantara. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's get to Maikel Garcia. We're going back to him. Why? Because we got money. 5 years, $57.5 million. There's a club option and escalators in the deal, so it could max out at 6 years, $85 million. I don't have a lot to say about this. I mean, this is how these deals generally look. Like, good job. Hey, if this guy keeps doing what he did this past season, Todd Father, he's a steal. I mean, if he was almost a 6-win player. If he's a 5-win player, depending on how you value wins, I mean, most front offices look at a win between at least $5 and $10 million. A lot of times in the public, it's looked at as $10 million. Obviously, there's not $50 million players, but it's showing the value that player brings. I mean, he can easily pay for this contract in the first couple seasons. This involves arbitration years, all kinds of stuff there. That's why the general public that doesn't pay attention to baseball will look at a contract like this and be like, what? That's it? That's because you're limited on how much you can make until you hit free agency, and that's factored into these extensions.
Yeah, I think it's a great deal. I think it's a great deal for both sides, and I just hope that this guy just keeps on doing what he's doing and doesn't worry about anything else, stays humble like he has, and just stay under the radar. Everybody's going to know who you are now, but just keep doing you. Get the knocks that you have, make the plays, and help your team out. Nothing else needed. He has no more worries in the world. Just play the game that you know how to play.
Get your first contract. None of it's guaranteed. Before this season, we talk about WAR, he was a 3.8 WAR player. Obviously, he's always had the defense. That's something that never slumps. So even if he has an offensive slump of a season, or this was just his one outlier, which I don't believe it is, because when you reduce your strikeout rate and increase your walk rate in the same season, like that is a surefire definition of a guy that has figuring it out and is going to continue to improve. But to me, you're locking in essentially a contract for a guy who was over a 5-win player, and that contract is really only what Jake Cronenworth signed. You know, I was trying to look at like other contracts that were out there, and he's playing what I think is the second premium position. I think third base, that's why you see so many platinum glove winners at third base, because the value of the plays that are made there, to me, are, yes, they're ground balls. Yes, they're balls down the line, but you're taking away doubles when you make those plays, especially in Kauffman.
Let's do some digging. Ready for some weeds?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's the deal? Are the Dodgers really shopping Teoscar Hernandez? Katie Wu is new on the Dodgers beat, and she's also just becoming an insider in the sport, right? Working with Ken Rosenthal on notes columns and stories like this. I mean, her and people like Will Salmon really emerging with great insight. And she said the Dodgers continue to, quote, kick the Tigers kick the tires on trading Teoscar Hernandez. And Andrew Friedman did not rule out the possibility of adding another free agent after signing Edwin Diaz. I mean, that second part feels quite obvious, but she alludes to the quote from Brandon Gomes on Monday at the winter meetings where we were saying trading Teoscar Hernandez, quote, doesn't feel likely. She said the Royals have coveted an offense-first outfielder and have interest in Teo, according to a league source. Kratz, you can kind of bring back what you were saying earlier as somebody who played for the Royals. I'm with you. I'm like, offensively, he's perfect. Defensively, if I'm Kansas City and I want a winning team on the field, he's mostly DHing for me. And do they want that spot for Salvi a little bit too? How is this all going to shape up? Maybe they just say, Kratz, you know what? Screw it. We need that kind of offense. That kind of right-handed pop is not really available right now. And that kind of, call him glue guy, I mean, super likable guy in the clubhouse. You wouldn't think he's available. He's available because the Dodgers have Shohei. Shohei is going to clog up the DH spot for a long time, as he should. So it just leads to a roster crunch, and the Dodgers might have to trade someone away that makes them significantly better on offense. And if they can fill that, or significantly better on defense, and they can fill that on offense, I do think it could happen. I mean, you're getting enough reports out here that I feel like it's real. Do you think the Royals could be a legit option if they give him a lot of DH time?
I don't. Just like any team that's locking somebody up at DH, just we talk about Kyle Schwarber recently signing, the fact that the Dodgers right now don't need flexibility, and so it's fine that Shohei is your DH. Like, you're talking about two elite DHs. If you bring Teo in, obviously it's going to cost you a decent amount. It might be one of your pitchers or whatever the Dodgers are looking for. To me, it doesn't scream a Royals move. Teo had 546 plate appearances last year and walked 26 times. The Royals don't walk a lot. And that's probably part of the issue of, they don't have a lot of power, so teams just kind of go after him. But he struck out 134 times. Like, he would automatically become the largest strikeout or the highest strikeout number for this team. I don't see it. Now, if he was like elite defense and those strikeouts, they could handle it. I just don't see where you put him in left field, because I assume Jack Caglione is still going to be in right field. And maybe you might mix in DH between Cags if you get another athletic outfielder. Oh, Lane Thomas. Okay. And then Vinny Pasquantino, get him off his feet. He DHs when Salvi goes to first base. He won't play as much first base anymore because Felix Fermin's gone, but like Salvi's also in there DHing. So you kind of have that DH platoon. I just don't see it. I heard it. I heard what they're saying. I don't think his 25 home runs that he had this year, 33 the year before, really fits into what the Royals are going after. And I know people say, well, they went and got Jorge Soler. Sorry to Teo, but Jorge Soler and Teo are different power guys. I don't see it based on what the Royals have done or in the past decade, 15 years even.
And I
Freddie Fermin, by the way, Todd Father, I just throwing that out there for the trolls.
I always say Felix.
He does. It's one of those where a Felix, and then you just throw his name out there with Fermin. It's okay.
It's Felix.
That's what I'm here for. I'm that annoying stat guy, right? It's like Tony Reale back in the day on PTI. But anyway, Todd Father, sorry to interrupt.
No, and I'll be quick. I just think the Dodgers have so many guys that they're like, let me just throw this out there about Teoscar Hernandez and see, if we can get some feelers and maybe something can happen, because they are the team right now that picks up anybody and guys go there. And I think that's truly amazing for them. I think that's unbelievable. Dave Roberts got to be just loving Christmas every year. These past couple of years, he's been going, just knowing, another gift for my team. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's true. I just think there might be something in putting a feeler out there to see maybe they can catch, a big fish, and all of a sudden like, all right, well, this did work. So we'll see what happens. I love Teoscar Hernandez. I mean, he's a playoff guy. He steps up to the plate all the time. Yeah, we talk about defense, but what gets you to the big leagues? Hitting, and that's all he does.
And does he hit enough to be a full-time DH? I think so, especially for certain teams. No, Kratz? See, the thing is, I think that's where he has to transition pretty quickly. I think already next year, you should be looking at 50% of his days in the outfield at most. I don't want to put him in Yordan Alvarez status, but the Astros did recently bring up how their plan is to primarily DH him. They had been toying with a little outfield the past couple seasons. This past season, he was hurt a ton. And I think they just want to let him do what he does. We know that Teo is not Yordan, but there are some teams that could use this. How about Pittsburgh?
Yeah, obviously there's teams that could use it. Not
God.
everybody has a. I think he's a career 119 OPS plus. So yes, he's got some career 135 OPS seasons, and then last year it was 103. I think was his OPS last year. Like I get what you're saying. Could he DH? Yes, he could. Are you asking me? Is he the DH for a World Series contending team? I think the Royals have made moves recently, and they continue to make moves to push towards their new stadium, obviously, but also push towards wanting to get back to the World Series. They have a pitching staff that is really good, but they're brought into Kauffman, they're brought into Kansas City to be able to do what they do with a defense behind them, and you get extra value out of guys like a Seth Lugo, like a Michael Wacha. Obviously, Cole Reagans, when he's on, he doesn't need any defense. I mean, you're talking about a guy that almost had 100 strikeouts in 60 or 70 innings. So there's different ways of doing it. I don't know that Teoscar, yes, the Dodgers could eat. If the Dodgers eat $10 million a year of his contract, then you're talking, okay, we're paying Teoscar $10 million a year to be our DH, more palatable. But I don't know that he's not the upper, he wouldn't be an upper tier DH. And he could go out this year and have a ridiculous season because he's shown that he has that ability. Just last year was a tough year to put that out there, and they just signed him to the contract. Last year we were talking about him being a serviceable outfielder. I don't think his defense, I think he could still get another year to maybe 2 years out of his defense in this contract.
Yeah. But he's worth what, half, if not a third, of what you're talking about with the Kyle Schwarber contract. Schwarber's only a DH. He's not Schwarber, but Schwarber's signed up for 150.
He's not
Teo's
Schwarber.
contract is not even half that. No, I know he's not Schwarber. My point is, I started to like the idea the more I said it. There's not right-handed hitting outfield pop / DH pop out there. Not a lot of it, right, on the free agent market, and it's super expensive. The team I keep going back to is a club like Pittsburgh. I believe Pittsburgh will add an impact bat. Do I believe they will be able to add that bat from free agency? Probably not. They're going to have to significantly overpay to talk someone into that situation, given what they've done. You have to trade for a player like that. I could see them trading for someone like that. They should be in the running for people like this. Maybe you think I'm off, but they need so much on offense. They need everything. They need contact. They need power. They need walks. Like anybody that is an above average offensive player could immediately be their best hitter. That's how much of a difference it can make. So if they have the money to spend, they clearly threw out $120 million. This is half that to get Teo. You might be able to get him and trade for somebody else too. Pittsburgh has prospects. Their farm system is definitely top 10, if not close to top 5. Top 10, to be fair. I think this could be a spot for them. That's all.
I agree, and that would be a massive. There's only a few teams out there that Teoscar Hernandez would be a massive upgrade. I went to a game in April. Emmanuel Valdez was hitting 4th for the Pirates. Like when you start your season in April and you don't have a clear cleanup hitter, you don't have a clear bat in that spot in the order. Like, yeah, he'd be a massive upgrade. I would love to see this, but can they afford to get rid of prospect? And again, I don't know where the Dodgers would want. You're talking about eating a lot of money, like I said before, from a contract that was just signed. It's not like there's a 5-year deal and now we're in year 3 of his decline. They signed it, 3-year deal last year. Was it 3 or 4 years? I'm sorry, I blanked right there. But
I think it was 4. I'll look it up while you're talking. Yep.
Okay, it was the first year where he had the down year here, and I trust that he bounces back. Okay, I thought it was a 3-year deal. I think it's 22 a year or something like that. I like Teo as a player, but I think it would depend on how much money they're looking to eat and where it's going. But if they go after Kyle Tucker, then I see no spot for Teo.
No,
especially because Jeremy Meyer in our chat, he brought up a good point. Is Andy Pages the playoff Andy Pages, or is he the regular season Andy Pages? Because if you're losing some offense, like, you need more offense out of the outfield, because you had any combination of Conforto, Pages, and Teo, and now you get rid of Teo. You'll probably get rid of Teo to put a Bellinger. I don't think Bellinger's coming back there, or you're putting a Tucker in there. There's questions there, but they're questions as far as, like, are the Dodgers going to repeat or not? Not like, ooh, if they don't figure this out, the Dodgers aren't going to make the playoffs. No, that's not what we're saying.
No.
3 years, 66 with deferrals. Yep. Net present value of that deal when it was signed was 3 years, about $58 million. So you're looking at less than 20 mil a year on net present value for a player like that. And now it's just 2 years left in the contract. He said, and he told us on our show, that he took less money to sign with the Dodgers. So I'm sure he'd be a little pissed. He's probably not pleased seeing his name pop up in what I think are legit trade rumors, but just throwing it out there. Let's get to the Padres. We'll go back to the Dodgers in a little bit. Let's get to the Padres. Kyle Glaser waiting for us in a moment. Hey, we're back. And so is Kyle Glaser with us, the star of Friar Territory, talking all about the San Diego Padres. And I think it'll be another interesting offseason. AJ Preller always keeps it exciting for us. That is a fact. He certainly lit it up during the trade deadline. Kyle, good to see you. And I want to go right to the names that have popped up that not only affect the Padres, but it affects fans across the game. We've seen names like Nick Pivetta and Jake Cronenworth pop up in trade rumors from legit reporters. So what do you have for us on what that could look like and what those players could bring to the table for other teams too?
Absolutely. The reason the Padres are even having these discussions is because they are in a serious payroll crunch. The Padres have said they're going to try and keep payroll around last year's level. And look, they're exploring a sale. Teams exploring sales don't raise payroll. So with that, they only have about $10 to $12 million to play with, and they have to try and fill 2 starting rotation spots and an everyday first base spot at minimum. So they need to clear payroll, and that's where these conversations are coming from. Jake Cronenworth is owed a little over $60 million over the next 5 years. Nick Pivetta has an opt-out after this year, but again, he's going to make about $19 million this year. So it's really just going to come down to, are the Padres going to get the kind of trade offers that allow them to fill most of their holes? They're not going to do a 1-for-1 trade for Nick Pivetta. It would have to be a situation where they get a major league ready young starter, another player who can help them this year, and then they can use the payroll savings to go sign another player. Jake Cronenworth as well. It's going to be a situation where they're going to be looking for multiple pieces back. So both of them are going to attract interest and have attracted interest. We just have to see if ultimately the price is met where it makes sense for the Padres to move them.
Who's a higher value sell now type of thing? Because we've heard Jake Cronenworth ever since he signed his 7-year contract. It was like they're looking to shed the entire 7 years. And I was like, Jake, I texted Jake. I'm like, did you sign it? Did you sign it with Major League Baseball, or did you sign it with the Padres? So whose value is higher from where, I get it, Pivetta's making more this season, but whose value is where they're going to get the most or be able to dump more of the money is kind of what I'm asking here.
There's no question Nick Pivetta is the more valuable player. Teams always need frontline starting pitching, and Nick Pivetta took the leap last year with the Padres. He'd always had great stuff, great peripherals, but it never really worked out consistently for him. We saw long stretches of he'd look great for 6 or 7 starts, and then stretches where he would look terrible for 6 or 7 starts. Last year, he took the leap and was consistent, pitching like a frontline starter from game 1 to game 162. The tricky part with Nick Pivetta is he has an opt-out at the end of this year. So our team's going to look at him as a pitcher that really only has 1 year left on his deal because he'll realistically opt out, or are they going to look at him as a pitcher who is under contract for 3 more years, and there's always the possibility that something goes wrong and he stays in the deal? Whether teams view him as a 1-year rental versus a pitcher who does have 3 years left on his deal is going to make a huge difference in what they're willing to offer the Padres. Realistically, all things being equal, he's going to bring back more, but a lot of it's going to depend on how teams view him and his contract.
All right. The best player on that team is Fernando Tatis Jr., in my opinion. I think he's an absolute stud. Have teams gone out and tried seeing if there's a possibility of him being moved, or is he untouchable right now at this point?
Teams at this point in the year are always having conversations and reaching out, talking about any number of players. Yes, teams have reached out to the Padres to just kind of gauge where they're at. And the Padres have been definitive, both publicly and privately. They are not trading Fernando Tatis Jr. They have no interest in trading Fernando Tatis Jr. They have no intent to trade Fernando Tatis Jr. They view him as the fulcrum around which this entire team is built. They want him to be the centerpiece of the Padres in 2026, 2027, 2028, and beyond. At this juncture, there is zero chance he gets moved. Now, we'll see what happens 6 months from now, a year from now, if new ownership comes in. There's all different dynamics at play. But this offseason, he is not getting moved.
All right, well, let's go to somebody that did get moved because of free agency. Robert Suarez got moved, and he signed with the Braves. What are they getting? You watched him day in and day out. The numbers, I feel like, speak for themselves. But what are the Braves getting, and is there a chance of some regression? And if the Padres had the money, would they have re-signed them themselves?
What the Atlanta Braves are getting is a lockdown end-of-game reliever. Robert Suarez was one of the best closers in the National League each last 2 years, and prior to that, he was one of the best setup men in the National League for 2 years, setting up Josh Hader. He's someone that can fill both roles and not just be good at both, but dominant in both. He had a sub-3 ERA in both. Look, it's a fastball he can run up to 100, 101, 102. His changeup when he throws it is a really good pitch. Ice in his veins, nothing phases him. He is everything you want in a late game reliever and closer. There's a tremendous amount of mental toughness there as well. In terms of whether the Padres would have re-signed him, just given the Padres' needs, and their fundamental need for years now has been they need more impact on offense. Given the strength of their bullpen, even without Robert Suarez, they were always going to need to reallocate this money toward bringing back an impact bat. So on the one hand, you understand Robert Suarez is a tremendous talent who will give the Atlanta Braves a lockdown end-of-game option in whatever role they choose to use him in. Reports are he'll be a setup man and a backup closer to start. But for the Padres, bringing him back, just given their other needs, just never made a lot of sense. They really have to address the starting rotation and the lineup much more than the bullpen.
You glazed over it a little bit, but people think he's been a closer his entire career. Mm-hmm. The run where the Padres almost made it to the World Series and lost to the Phillies, where Bryce Harper hit the home run against him, was arguably, in my opinion, statistically, stuff plus all that stuff, his best season. Did you see a difference in Robert Suarez? Because he has never been as dominant as he was that season. Is he better in the 8th inning? Is there a difference that you saw from when he became the setup guy to the closer?
Not really. Again, he's been so good pretty much every season. You're still talking about ERAs under 3, 3 of his 4 seasons. You're still talking about strikeout rates. You're still talking about premium stuff. It's small margins. So realistically, he's someone that you feel comfortable putting in either situation. And look, yes, people are going to remember him serving up the home run to Bryce Harper. What they don't remember is Robert Suarez threw an absolutely ridiculous changeup the previous pitch that Bryce Harper held up on. It was incredible that Bryce Harper held up on that pitch. And it's more about Bryce Harper being amazing than any failures of Robert Suarez. So Robert Suarez, again, from the moment he came over from Japan, has been dominant in whatever role he's been asked to fill. And I expect that to continue with the Braves.
We have a super chat fan question. Appreciate it, from Scott Farr. He said, anyone are free to the Jays talking with the Padres for a Mason Miller deal, Barrios and Ricky Tiedemann. This is exactly what Toronto needs to take over for Jeff Hoffman. Well, even if you want to entertain that, I will step in before you even jump in and say, that ain't going to get it done.
No. Again, The Padres, just given the situation they're in, and look, AJ Preller has always been the most aggressive GM in baseball since he took over. He is someone that will talk about big packages, marquee names, tens of millions of dollars changing hands like it's nothing. A lot of the kind of trades that most presidents of baseball operations and GMs shy away from, he embraces. That said, whether you're talking about Mason Miller, Nick Pivetta, Jake Cronenworth, the Padres are not going to trade them without getting significant value back. And I'm talking multiple players who help them fill multiple holes in one fell swoop. So again, while Jose Barrios has obviously had a great career, he was also demoted from the Blue Jays rotation at the end of last year. Ricky Tiedemann has tremendous stuff. He has never stayed healthy. That's not close to what would get a Mason Miller trade done. It would have to be impact big leaguers who are controllable and cheap right now, plus top young prospects.
Yeah, I was going to go a little bit on Jake Cronenworth, but you kind of hit that one perfectly. My question to you is, you look over at the other side, the Dodgers just picked up Edwin Diaz. Padres are probably, I mean, just tell me your thoughts. And even as a guy who covers them and talks about him, like, you see something like that, what goes on through your head? Is it like, oh God, here we go again?
Look, my nearly, decade as a national writer for Baseball America and continuing to cover, league wide, you understand that the Dodgers have tremendous financial resources. They spend them wisely, which is something a lot of other teams with tremendous financial resources cannot say. And they draft and develop incredibly well. Again, the Dodgers have been the beasts of the NL West for over a decade now. You know that they are a force. You're going to have to deal with them at some point if you are attempting to compete in the National League. So on the one hand, yes, you see them sign Edwin Diaz and you go, yep, they just added another superstar. At the end of the day, though, that's kind of the MO for them, and you just understand that's how they operate. That's what you have to deal with if you're a team trying to compete with them in the National League. Now it's just about trying to make your roster the best it can possibly be so that you have a shot to maybe beat the Dodgers in a short series in the playoffs. That's really where you have to get them, trying to beat them over a 162-game season. Look, almost no one has done it in the NL West since 2013. The only team to do it was the Giants in 2021 when the Dodgers won 106 games that year. So you understand that in order to take down the Dodgers, it's more about building a team that can hopefully catch them in a short series, because doing so over 162, look, the facts are no one's been able to really do it consistently for over a decade.
Hey, Kyle, last one for you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, EK.
How about the manager situation? Craig Stammen's obviously everybody hears, Manny Machado is like, oh, we love this guy. Everybody's come out and said we love this guy. But I feel like that was kind of said about Schilt too until Schilt was out. So is this more of a, okay, Craig Stammen's going to work because he's already worked with AJ Preller? It's clearly the AJ Preller effect of the drama that comes with it and, his constant hovering over. But this Craig Stammen thing, is there tangible wins and improvements from a Craig Stammen hiring?
So Craig Stammen and Mike Shildt are two very, very different personality types. And I think it's important to point out Mike Shildt did work in the Padres front office and working a couple different roles before taking over as manager. So in terms of Craig Stammen, the pluses are he is a tremendous communicator. He is someone that took on a leadership role in the Padres clubhouse for years, especially during COVID. He really was the spokesperson for the team in a time of great uncertainty. He is a natural leader in a lot of ways, has all the personality traits you look for, as well as the baseball mind. At the same time, a first-year manager, there are going to be things that you have to learn on the fly, especially when you have never coached or managed at any level of professional baseball. Mike Shildt was an established manager in the big leagues who had years and years and years as a coach and manager throughout the minors. He didn't have the learning curve that Craig Stammen is going to have. So there's no question there are going to be some things early on, especially that might not be the smoothest just in terms of game strategy, bullpen decisions, but the hope is Craig Stammen, being as humble as he is, as smart as he is, that he will figure it out quickly enough that it doesn't hurt the Padres for any considerable amount of time as they attempt to make the playoffs for the 5th time in 7 seasons.
Kyle, great insight. We love you. And Friar Territory, you want to let everyone know just a little bit more about how the team expanded? I mean, we've talked about it a touch, but just give everyone a taste of how big the Friar Territory team is getting.
Absolutely. It's still me, Heath Bell, and Mike Cameron. We recently added Marty Caswell, a longtime radio host in San Diego. She's tremendous. I encourage everyone, come check it out. We've got a lot to talk about. This is a very fascinating team. Really, they always are, but especially true now, just given potential impending sale. AJ Preller still has yet to sign a contract extension. First-year manager in Craig Stammen. Maybe some big trades. This is a great time to subscribe. I encourage everyone to check it out.
Thank you. You're the man, Kyle. Good stuff. Have a great holiday, too.
Thanks, you guys as well.
Thank you. That's Kyle Glaser, and that is Friar Territory, part of the FT Network. BetMGM futures. We're looking at the Braves today for the NL pennant. 10-1 odds for ATL. Were you feeling frisky with this number? Todd Father, they picked up a couple pieces yesterday. I mean, I really love the bullpen ad, but even the Mike Yaz ad too, to give them a little more depth and flexibility with the roster. Now it's Robert Suarez and Maikel Garcia at the back end. You're going to get a full healthy season, hopefully, from Ronald Acuna Jr., and they were missing most of their starting rotation. What are you guys coming up with over there? It looks like you're up to no good.
I don't know. I look at them and I get angry.
Yeah. You guys are extra far away from each other today. Oh, well, Kratz is also sitting in my chair.
Yeah, that's true, too. He doesn't want to ruin your spot. Yeah, I would dabble here. I would dabble a little bit. Why not? They picked up a couple good guys. Love Robert Suarez. You know, I put a little bit on there. Yeah, I mean, plus 1,000 is a lot. But do I see them being the Dodgers? No. But I don't know. You never know what can happen. There's still more stuff to get picked. There's still more guys that need to get picked up. So doing it right now and then all of a sudden it could get lower or it could get higher.
You don't think their starting rotation can compete against the Dodgers lineup?
No.
Sale, Strider, Schwellenbach. You're going to have Ronaldo Lopez back because clearly they don't need to transition him to the bullpen. Who did I miss? Grant
Waldrop?
Holmes?
No,
Waldrop too.
I do like him. I do like him.
To me, that's why I love.
Yeah, go ahead.
I love the 10-1. I really, really like that number. I mean, anytime I get in the thousands, I'm like, yeah, give it to me. But
do it for the Marlins then.
The lineup has to come around. I will not do it for the Marlins.
True. They do have a good pitching staff. You're right.
They have a good starting rotation. They always have good depth.
But and you never know. Like I said, they could pick up somebody down the road here, and all of a sudden it goes to plus 800, plus 700.
I don't think they have a big move in their cash. Like to me, if they get Ha-Sung Kim to play shortstop, does that move the number off of plus 1,000? I'm waiting until the season. But if it's still at plus 1,000, I will take some of that.
Okay.
Because I think they're still a good team, but the offense needs to bring it consistently. A full season of Acuna. Michael Harris's swing changes clearly worked from halfway point of the season, and Profar might not be on the good. So you might just not get too much.
They might pick up a few extra wins. Have you seen the Mets roster lately? BetMGM threw out 4 potential candidates to join the team in spring training.
That's the bottom line. Stone Cold said so.
Stone Cold Steve Austin. What's the King of Queens' real name? Kevin James?
Kevin James.
Adam Sandler.
Paul Blart. Mall Cop. Who's the best? Blart. Who's the best athlete out there?
What?
Jerry
of that 4.
Of that 4, I would say the best.
Are you joking? Whoa. Careful. What?
Who?
Stone Cold Steve Austin is a freak.
No, I thought you were just talking about baseball only. Sorry.
Oh, baseball player.
Like if you had to pick, right? Is that what you said?
That's what I mean. Like somebody in that 4 has to hit second in your lineup.
And listen, you said athlete. He might be a good wrestler. I don't think he's good at basketball, baseball, maybe football.
Scott thinks just because you have muscles that you're a good athlete. Scott's like, check out these biceps. You think these aren't athletic?
You were a 1,000-point scorer.
Yeah, you don't think Stone Cold Steve Austin can bang down low and grab some rebounds, block some shots, and box out half the team in a rec game?
With 5,000, 2 minutes.
Who's getting a hit first of those four?
Sandler.
Paul Blart, Mall Cop. Adam Sandler is the one.
That's what I said.
For me,
Yeah, but he said
Adam
athlete.
Sandler.
Athlete. If we said who's getting a knock, I would have said Sandler. I'm with you. And Sandler looks like in that picture, it might be old. He's got some forearms.
Sandler can play some basketball too. I've seen him on the streets.
If these four pictures were FT hosts, obviously Scott is Cena.
Cena.
Which
no,
one?
You said Cena. It's not Cena. It's Stone Cold.
What
Steve
did I say?
Austin.
John Cena. I'm sorry. I did this. I did
did
this.
do that.
Stone Cold Steve Austin is obviously
Who
Scott.
was my favorite wrestler growing up?
Wow.
Mine was
neato.
$1 million man.
Okay, so which of those other three are you?
I'll go with Sandler.
Okay. My career would say I'm Jerry Seinfeld, but I feel like I'm the mall cop. I'm
you would be
Paul Blart.
But the thing is, you lost a lot of weight. You can't. Yeah.
I've not lost any weight. I'm literally the same weight since I graduated.
No, you're leaner.
I appreciate you. You're making me blush at Christmas here, but no,
How much weight did you lose?
I weigh 250 pounds ever since my senior year of college.
How about now?
250 pounds.
No chance. I don't believe it. I say 240.
Oh, that's
dang. Some muscle.
He's got your over-under at 240 and a half. Anyway, no matter the matchup, betting with BetMGM boosted odds makes every basket feel a little sweeter. Activate your odds boost token for any college basketball bet. You'll receive a bigger payout if that bet wins. Get set for tip-off with BetMGM. We miss baseball, but there are other sports in action if you feel the need. Gambling problem or concern, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
The second part of the Dodgers news that we're seeing, that's what he said, quote, will come in the second portion of this second part. But we'll start with Bob Nightingale's tweet on Yamamoto and Roki Sasaki. So this applies to anyone rooting for whoever in the WBC, the World Baseball Classic, but also Dodger fans who get nervous. We all remember the Edwin Diaz situation, and others have gotten hurt. I think Drew Smiley, in the one that I called in the WBC, ended up getting hurt or never was the same after that. But anyway, Dodgers
Are you
World
doing
Series
the
MVP.
WBC?
Me? No, not this year. Not anymore. The commissioner.
He's not invited. He's not invited.
Yamamoto confirmed today he's going to pitch for Team Japan in the World Baseball Classic, and reports out of Japan, this all from Bob Nightingale, say that Roki Sasaki is not going to pitch in the World Baseball Classic. Both of these tidbits make complete sense to me. We might as well add the Doc Roberts quote about Shohei Ohtani, because I think these all are tied together to the same WBC team and the same MLB team. Doc Roberts spoke about Shohei at the winter meetings, and he said he hasn't talked to him yet about pitching in the WBC, but he is hopeful that Ohtani will only hit for Japan. I'll add to that, Todd Father, if he calls Ohtani and says, hey, dude, I only want you to hit, and Ohtani says, that's cool, I'm going to do both for my country, Doc's going to say, good talk. See you soon.
No, he's gonna ask for a trade. That's what he's gonna ask.
So he can play at WBC every 3 years.
He's gonna say, thanks for back-to-back titles in your first 2 years with us. You do what you want. I was just throwing that out there, that if you don't want to pitch, you don't have to. But if you do want to pitch, I still love you.
Yeah, I think they'll have an easy communication about it, whether he does it or not. And I don't think he'll be like, no, sorry, I want to pitch and do this. You can't say anything about it. I think they'll have a nice dialogue about the whole thing, and we'll see what happens. What happens if all of a sudden they get in these games where they're in the Final Four and all of a sudden they're running out of pitching? Hey, Shohei, can you throw an inning or two? I don't know. We'll see what happens. They do. They take pride in their country, though. They definitely do.
He's
You're
gonna
Doc
pitch.
Roberts. He's going to pitch. He's 100% going to pitch. But I'm going to go past the Edwin Diaz because everyone's like, oh, yeah, Drew Smiley, like you just said, Drew Smiley got hurt. Edwin Diaz, everybody
got hurt
knows.
Jumping around.
He got hurt jumping around. Like, stop blaming the WBC for injuries. Like, these guys are ramping it up. But here's my conspiracy theory, because you don't always get hurt in the moment that you're playing. Maybe it's the duration. And do you remember who won the WBC and struck out Mike Trout in 2023?
Oh, yes.
Shohei Ohtani.
And then what happened?
Do you remember what happened at the end of 2023 to Shohei Ohtani's arm?
Was it shoulder or elbow?
Elbow.
Thomas
It wasn't
John.
Tommy John. It was
Well,
some
no,
kind of
right.
internal
Elbow,
bracing. It was UCL.
Tomas John.
So was that caused by his speedy ramp up for that spring training WBC moment? We'll never know. But you can't definitively tell me it had no correlation.
Yeah. 100%. We'll see. I mean, listen.
So you're fearful of that if you're Doc Roberts.
But they are throwing in spring training. Yeah, I guess they're not. They're trying to ramp up to get to where you need to be. And then they're like, hey, man, you're going 5 innings. We're trying to get 85 pitches out of you.
I mean, they're not playing travel ball. They're not going to go there and be like, dog, we got to the finals. We ran out of pitching. No, this isn't kids travel ball. But I think it is a legitimate discussion. There's injury concerns. There is insurance concerns as far as cash, all that stuff to get these guys to play. But, hey, Yamamoto literally pitched more than everybody for the longest time at the end of the season. And then they say, okay, you can go pitch. If you're a Dodgers fan, if you're Doc Roberts, you're like, I'm a biggest Yamamoto fan. Yeah. Does this mean I'm losing a start from him on the season, especially after he had more starts than he ever had? He blew past it. By the middle of September, he already had more starts than he ever had in his career. And then they went to the end of October. It was a month and a half of extra starts.
That's what the All-Star break is for. That's why it's called a break.
Oh, just one. Just one.
He'll probably be on that, too.
Yep.
I just think you have to be careful with a Japanese superstar in trying to prevent him from representing his country. It's a different culture. Tell me I'm wrong, Kratz or Todd Father.
No,
Japanese
I said
players are like, yo, I'm repping the country. I'm doing what I'm going to do, and you got to just worry about the consequences. And if anything, I think Shohei might not pitch early in the WBC, but as expected, they should get to the semifinals, and then he's going to be up and at 'em. Now, maybe it's just a bullpen dude like we saw last time around, but if you give me over under half an inning that Shohei's going to pitch in the WBC, I'm smashing the over.
You faced Japan in the finals of the Olympics, correct?
Yes.
I faced Japan in 2014 in the MLB All-Stars Tour, which was in the middle of November.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guys' season had been done, and all those guys had kept it ramped up.
Just
they played.
For that. Isn't that crazy?
Just for that. Then I faced them in the qualifier in the beginning of November again in 2019. All those dudes kept it ramped up for that. So I think Scott's spot on. You're spot on, Scott, in the sense of like these guys play for their country. It means more. It's like the SEC. It means more.
All right, 2 more items to get to. Let's cue this tweet from Chris Cotillo, and it's in reference to Sean McAdam, who also covers the Red Sox on a daily basis. They did not want to go long on Pete Alonso. Apparently, they fell pretty far behind, but they did go for him, so that's interesting. They were in on him. Tell me if you've heard that one before. Chris Cotillo said, speaking in general terms and not specifically about the failed Alonso talks, one prominent agent noted of the Red Sox, they don't believe in long-term deals. I will push back a bit. I mean, how long did they just sign Garrett Crochet for? It's not like they don't have anybody on long-term contracts. They traded away Rafael Devers, but 2-3 years ago, they gave him a long-term deal. Maybe that's the game plan this offseason? And if so, good luck getting Alex Bregman for less than 5 years. I don't know if I believe this one, or if it's one agent who's pissed about his particular player or players not getting long-term offers, right? Because I do think that they're going to send a decent, quote, long-term offer Alex Bregman's way. So this is maybe some other agent that's like, they're not going after my player the way they should. I think they're going to offer Bregman at least 5 years in today's game. Isn't that a long-term offer?
I think that's a long-term offer, and I think Alex Bregman, like Kyle Schwarber to the Phillies, it's a different level. We're talking about something different. Like, I think I heard somebody say it. Had somebody offered 6 years, 165 to Kyle Schwarber, the Phillies would have come back and done that. I think the same can be said about Bregman. Yes, they might not want long-term deals on guys that are unknown. This is why you had a trial period. You dated Alex Bregman last year, and now it's time to put a ring on it. Like, I think they'll go longer with him. I don't know that they want to be known as a team that has to try to backfill a guy that came in and really made a lot of positive waves in that young clubhouse. So I think this would be – maybe they don't want to go long-term. And they showed it by getting rid of Rafi Devers and all the drama that was around that. But Bregman, I think, Bregman's different. Alonso, unknown commodity for them in that clubhouse. Bregman, known commodity.
Yeah. I mean, to say you're not going to do long-term deals,
it won't work out.
I don't get it. Yeah, it never does, right?
I
don't know. Then that's you won't get the bigger of the names. I think that's the way it goes. And these long-term deals are for the greatest of baseball players. So I don't know. I'm not sure what they're thinking is in their logic there.
I think they just won't give long-term deals to certain players. I think
certain type of player.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, look at the Mets just now. They didn't believe that Pete Alonso merited a long-term deal. They completely laid that out, right? For as much as that team spends, they did not feel like that type of player was going to age the way they wanted him to. Baltimore disagreed, and there you go. Looks like they didn't want to go more than like 3-ish years for him, tops. So anyway, one more. Mark Shapiro has been running the Blue Jays for a long time. Ross Atkins works under him, but Shapiro gets signed up for 5 more years. So Shai Davidi reported how this is going to set him up for a total of a 15-year run on top of the franchise. And he's the president and the CEO of the team since the end of the 2015 season. Todd, Father, for a while, it looked like a tenure that was not fulfilling, especially lately when they had superstar players like Vladdy and Bo. And it's incredible how one postseason run changes everything, because it really did.
Yeah, and time. Give this guy, give somebody time. It's not like running a ship. It's hard to do sometimes. You need time. You need a little more effort. You need to figure out who works well here and there. And now you're seeing it's paying off. And they had a really big opportunity to win this World Series, and that would have been the icing on the cake for him. But they have a big opportunity to come back and do what they do. So congratulations to him. That's really great for the Blue Jays.
They gave him too much time, in my opinion.
Okay.
This should not be his extension. This should not have been his, in my opinion, it should not have been his World Series team. Ultimately, it's always about the players on the field. Mm-hmm. But to me, I felt like his time was overextended in Toronto. And I went on plenty of radio stations saying that, so I have to go back and now say maybe we should have trusted the roster he was putting together. Maybe that, the fact that he wasn't going back out and getting the pieces that had success in Toronto, the Matt Chapmans, the Brandon Belts, or those types. And I saw a decline from the previous seasons, and they weren't going to get those guys. And now this offseason, look at what they did. They went out and got Andres Jimenez, Platinum Glove winner. They tripled down on their defense. Alejandro Kirk got some stability and had one of his better years again behind the plate. Vladimir Guerrero, to me, that was, ownership. That wasn't necessarily front office, but I was the one banging the drum that I felt like a lot of the issues of why the Blue Jays couldn't turn it around and ultimately finish last in the American League East was because of Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. And I clearly am wrong, because now they got a 5-year extension for a guy that I thought was out the door about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was bad until it wasn't. And now it's great. So props to him. A lot of this stuff's about timing too. Nailed it on timing. Nailed it. I mean, this was magical. They lit up Canada. So I give them credit. It took longer than many people wanted it to, but it's only one team out of 15 that's going to represent the American League each year in the World Series, and the Blue Jays were able to get as close as you can get to pulling off a title. So congrats to Shapiro and the Blue Jays keeping the front office intact there. And now let's slap. Hey, shout out to the team behind the scenes that helps us put together the newsletter each week. There's the QR code. It's on your screen right now. FT Leadoff Newsletter. If you're listening on podcast, we posted a tweet with a little preview and a link to sign up to it. It costs a whopping $0. It comes out once a week, and it gives you a little recap of what we hit on the show, some of the big guests, the whole deal. So if you want to just give us a little appreciation, we're not going to spam you to death. We just throw one in there a week, usually on Fridays. It's the FT Leadoff Newsletter. Next week, we're on full normal week. There'll probably be 20 million signings. I mean that in all seriousness. There's still a lot of activity left to go. We had a really fun week at the winter meetings, but in terms of volume, there wasn't a ton of volume of deals. There were high impact deals. That's good for us. That means next week's going to be awesome. I really believe that. Leading up to Christmas time here, leading up to like the 23rd, which is when we stop down for a little bit, at least with the live shows, it's going to be lit. Kratz Hatz.
Yeah, the reason that there's no volume is because everybody was coming on our show. If you go back and watch some of our shows from the winter meetings, everybody was on FT. I mean, how can I not? My hero is Todd Frazier. How can I not wear Todd Frazier's hat? Todd gave me this hat. Oh, wait, no, Todd did not give me this hat, but I'm going to wear Reds.
I want it. Keep it here.
You don't. What are you going to do? Use it as a trash can as big as this
I
thing is?
I rock red stuff all the time. You ask people in Tom's River when I go to the grocery store.
I'm not saying you're not going to rock it. This hat won't fit you.
Yeah,
you'll put it on your head, and you'll turn, and it'll just stay at the same place.
What size?
5/8.
Yeah, I'm a half. You're right. My biscuit.
Yeah. You can put your cereal in that thing, Top Father. Wash it first, but
some Golden Grams, some honeycombs. I want a big bowl of honeycombs.
Me want honeycombs.
Happy Friday, people. We will see you on Monday, FT Live. And actually, we're working on some special content that everyone will be able to check out during the winter break between Christmas and New Year. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you on Monday.
See you.